everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I wanted to take you behind the scenes of recording and producing my video podcast. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know that I've had a podcast for a couple of years now, and this season I decided to take it onto YouTube. I wanted to do that to just kind of expand the listenership of the podcast and also create more content here for my YouTube channel. So far, it's definitely paid off. I think people are really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun to produce, and it's honestly not a lot more work. It's a little bit more work than doing just an audio only podcast, but it's not a ton more work. Quick disclaimer is I am not a professional, okay? Fun fact, I actually went to school for film and video production, and production was always my least favorite part of school. I always loved post-production and I loved being on camera. I kind of hated production. It was annoying. It's very technical, and that's just not my strong suit. I fully admit that. So I know that there's things that I could be doing better, but I wanted to share like a real view because a lot of DIY podcasters need to know what they can do with what they have now, or using affordable equipment or easy to set up kind of equipment. All right, so first thing, let's talk about what you're gonna need. You're going to need a camera, you're going to need a microphone, you're going to need a computer, and you're gonna need some editing software. There are some other extras that I'm gonna be sprinkling in as well that are just kind of nice to have, and I will also be linking every single thing that I mentioned, tool, equipment, resource, down below in the description box. Okay, so as far as camera setup, I just use a DSLR, Canon DSLR. I've used pretty much every Canon camera, consumer grade camera under the sun. I've used the Rebel series, I've used the 80D, some mirrorless options. I actually use a mirrorless for my vlogging camera. You can honestly even use your iPhone. I'm telling you, you don't need anything too fancy, but I do use a Canon DSLR and I sit it right on the other side of my desk on a tripod. I'll have my microphone set up right in front of me as well, and then I have a bookshelf maybe like a couple feet behind me. I use a 3-point lighting setup. It's just a very basic 3-point lighting setup. I actually don't have windows in this room, so something that you could do if you don't want to invest in lighting is you can just sit in front of a window or, position yourself in a way that you are being lit up by natural sunlight, natural daylight. But I don't have that option here, which is a pro and a con, and I'm not going to get into that for this video, but I like it because I can really control the light and it can look the same every single time. But natural sunlight honestly looks so much better. So for my key light, I have just a ring light by Neewer, I think is the brand, and I have that kind of sitting this direction from me, so it's not directly in front of me. That can look a little weird, but this still gives me the opportunity to still have kind of some shadows on my face and to look a little bit more natural. You see like I have a shadow under my chin and things like that. And this is going to be the brightest light. The key light is gonna be the brightest light of it all. It's really the thing that's lighting up my face here. And then over here, I have an LED panel light. I actually just got this, and this is the fill light. I used to use for a long time a soft box, which I now have behind me as the backlight. I'm trying out these new LED lights. I think they're pretty good. I don't know. I still don't fully know if I love how they're looking, but they definitely are really easy to use and are really easy to store because they're very small. The softbox is very big. So yeah, like I said, behind me, I have something lighting up my bookshelf really. It's called a backlight. It's just a softbox that's kind of sitting on the floor. Be careful with that in case it overheats. But that helps to light up behind me because without that, it would look very flat. Just play around with different angles, different setups, different framing and composition just to see what you like. I use a little fake plant in the background just to kind of add some greenery because the space is all white behind me, which can be really boring. I actually just bought some colored LED lights as well that I can play around with to light up the background with pink or blue or something like that if I want to and when I want to. I try to put some different colored things behind me as well, just to sort of break up the white space. Same thing for my desk. I actually, for my podcast, it's actually zoomed out a little further than this video that you're watching right now. So you can usually see some of my desk. And so I always like to have like a fun mug in my hand or a fun mug on the table in front of me, just to kind of make it like a fun, bright space amongst all of the white on the walls and the bookshelf. Now, you actually might see me looking down in this video a little bit as I'm referencing different things, and you might be wondering, what the heck is she looking at? Well, I'm looking at my iPad. So this is sort of like another secret tool. This is like so meta. I use an app called the Canon Camera Connect app. You can use this on your phone, you can use this on an iPad, you can use it on a computer as well actually. And as long as you have a Canon camera that has Wi-Fi capabilities, which is a lot of the newer ones nowadays, you can actually have a viewfinder for your camera and you can record. It's called remote live viewing. This helps me out so much because I actually have bad eyesight for far away. So I really cannot see this little screen. I mean, I can see it, but like I can't really tell if I'm fully in focus. And since I do record alone, that's really important. So using this app, you can connect it to your camera. You can press record from the app. If I went out of focus, I could like tap on my face and make sure it's in focus. I can change the ISO on my camera. I can do a lot of things. I can take pictures. I can change it to picture mode and then take pictures. Anyway, if you have a Canon, I definitely recommend checking this out because it's such a big help as you're setting up your video. And then for the audio setup, I use a microphone called the Samson Q2U. It's a very, very affordable. I think it's like under $50 or $60. You can buy it on Amazon, Best Buy. But one thing I want to tell you about microphones, and again, you can probably watch some videos on YouTube specifically about podcasting microphones. I'm not going to go too in depth, but it really does depend on your environment. You know, if you have like a really big room, you're going to want a different microphone than somebody who has a really small carpeted room. If you're recording in a kitchen, which I probably never recommend, but if you are, you're going to want a totally different microphone than somebody recording in a bedroom. So keep that in mind and really research your specific environment. But I like the Samson Q2U for this setup here. So I just have it sitting on the desk in front of me on its stand, which I don't necessarily recommend. I actually would recommend using a boom arm, and I don't know why I haven't set that up yet, to be honest. Now that I'm talking through this, I'm like, that's probably not very smart of me. So I will probably do that eventually. A boom arm is gonna help just protect you against any of these like, you know, desk sounds, bumping it sounds a little bit lighter and better, things like that. But anyway, I just have it sitting on a stand in front of me about 6 inches from my mouth. That's where it sounds okay and it looks okay as well. Because for a video podcast, that's important to keep in mind. I don't wanna be like this and then you guys can't see my mouth moving. That's a very weird thing and it kind of defeats the point of a video podcast. So you may need to change. I kind of will put it off to either side a little bit too at an angle so you can see my face a little better, so you can see my outfit a little better. Because again, you just want to be thinking visuals too. I record into a tool called Descript. There are a lot of different audio recording tools that you can use, but I really love this one specifically because of how well it works with post-production as well, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I just go ahead, it's a USB microphone, so I plug it in and I record into that tool. And then I also record on my camera, of course. I press record. One other thing about the audio is I do have a boom microphone. I use the Rode video mic on a boom arm. That's the audio that you're hearing right now for this video. And I do usually put that on as well when I'm recording a video podcast, just in case the audio from the microphone fails. Then I still have decent audio quality. It's not necessarily podcast quality, but it's still better than what would just come out of the camera. So that's an optional second microphone. Then once I'm done with the episode, I take the Descript audio file and I export that into a WAV file. And then I take the video clips off of my camera and put them onto my hard drive. Okay, this is where we're getting a little confusing because it's joining everything together. Then I open up Final Cut Pro and there is a feature in there that allows you to synchronize your audio and video clips. So you just simply highlight both the audio and the video clips and then you click on synchronize and it's going to give you a brand new clip. It replaces the audio from your camera with the audio from your podcasting tool and podcasting microphone. It's pretty cool. I did this manually for so long because I didn't know that this was a feature in Final Cut. And if you use something like iMovie, you may have to do it manually. It is possible, but it is really hard to get perfect and it definitely wasn't perfect at all times. So that's really the easiest way to join the clips. When I'm in Final Cut, I then also with that one joined clip, I will balance the lighting, balance the color settings. So I try to get the white balance, of course, perfect and correct when I'm recording, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So I click on balance and I'll manually white balance it and do color corrections and things like that in there. And then sometimes I'll also crop it too. Sometimes I realize, oh, my tripod was a little crooked, or like I'm not exactly in the center, or I moved a lot. So you can bring out your frame a little bit to make yourself be in the center, or whatever, you know, whatever positioning that you want yourself to be in. Then I go ahead and I export that as an MP4 file. Then once that's done, I import that file into Descript. And I turn on the transcription feature and I let it do its thing. I let it sit. I usually like go do something else, do the dishes, whatever. Descript is such a cool tool because what it does is it transcribes everything that you just said into words, and it also gives you a little video preview. When you edit the words, I can go ahead and delete the words that I'm saying, and it's going to edit the video at the exact same time. So this is what I call my cutting process. I go ahead and I just cut the video. So I'll say, oh, I started to talk about something and I decided against it. I can just delete that paragraph, and it's going to cut the video for me. So I don't need to manually do it in Final Cut or any other video editor. It will also go ahead and generate captions for you too, which is really nice, which we'll talk about in a second. But that's basically what I do to cut. So this is like my first pass. I go through and I say, oh, okay, I messed up. I said, I said, I said this, I said that. I'll just cut that stuff out, and it is automatically doing it for me. So cool. Next up is I will export that. Once I'm done with the cutting process, I'll export that into a Final Cut file. And when I go ahead and click on this, I can open it up into a Final Cut project, which is so amazing because I can basically like tweak everything that I just did and really go ahead and perfect it. And then this is also where I go ahead and I add my titles and all of, you know, the fun branding like emoji pop-ups or B-roll. If I'm showing a tool, I'll do a screen share and pop that on in Final Cut, or, you know, just a lot of different things. You can do a lot of video editing in Descript as well, though I honestly just have not explored it a super lot. So I'm just using Final Cut because that's what I'm used to, but maybe eventually I'll be able to simplify this workflow even more and just do everything in Descript. Then that's pretty much it. Then I export the video file, and I'll export a separate audio file as well that obviously doesn't have the video and is just the audio version. I usually tweak the audio version a little bit. You guys will notice if you listen to both, or, you know, listen and watch, you'll notice that the format is just a little bit different on the podcast. So yeah, then from there, like the podcast is pretty much done. Then I just upload it to my host and it goes out. You know, I uploaded it as a normal YouTube video. I schedule them for the same time to go out, and that's pretty much that. Now, one other cool thing that Descript does is I can make clips with it as well. So when I am editing that transcript to edit the video, one thing I really like to do is if I see something or hear something, I'm like, oh, that would make a really cool sound bite. You know, that'd make a really cool social post for my LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. I can highlight the words on the screen and then click on, I think it's called Create Highlight or something like that. I'll show it on the screen here. And it will make a little clip for me, which is super cool. And then again, I can export that just as an individual clip. And if I export it as a Final Cut file, I can export it with the captions, which I love to do because for social media, a lot of people are just on their phones looking at LinkedIn, looking at Twitter, looking at Instagram. They don't want to actually hear the sound. They can just see the captions that way, and they're automatically generated for me. Now in Final Cut, the setting is a little bit hard to find, so I'm gonna show it on the screen here, how to actually export it with the captions on the clips so you can see them when you upload to social. I think it's called burning in the captions is the setting. And yeah, then I have, you know, little social clips that I can share to help promote the episode. So yeah, that's honestly pretty much it. I really hope this was helpful. Like I said, you know, it does add a little bit more to my workflow with the video stuff, but it really is only a couple extra steps, and of course me having to get ready. But one thing that I do like about that is it's forced me to batch way better. A lot of times I was just recording my podcast like the day before they went live, the night before it went live because I could. But now that I have to be ready and presentable for camera, I notice it really does force me to plan out my episodes a little bit better and you know, actually go ahead and record multiple at once. Because if I'm ready, I'm just gonna sit here and record a couple as opposed to just recording one. So that's something that I like about doing it. So hope this was helpful. Leave any questions that you might have down below. And if it was helpful, if you did enjoy this, please leave me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I post a video like this on Mondays, and then on Fridays, I post the podcast that you just saw behind the scenes of. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.